Welcome back, Stout23 here, back again with some knife therapy, and today I have for you the Divo Knives Stout prototype. This knife is designed by Mr. Kevin from Lefty EDC and Mr. Colin from CM Knife Designs. This is their first design out of the box, and it's a doozy. The OEM for the Stout is QSP. They do some really good work, and it really shows here. There will be two different versions. You'll have two with micarta and two with carbon fiber. I'll show them now. The micarta variant will come in at $269, and the two carbon fiber variants will come in at $279. Let's get some quick specs out of the way so y'all can have an idea of the size of the knife. You have a total length of 7.65 inches, so it's a medium-sized knife. You have a blade length of 3.3 inches, a grip area without that forward choil of 3.5 inches, and with the forward choil of 4.5 inches. And it is called the Stout, so the blade stock thickness is 0.1 to 4 inches. And this is not the final form of the knife. So it's a little thicker than what their range will be, which will be between 18 to 22 thousandths, which is A-OK. And the target HRC will be between 61 and 62, and the blade steel is CPM 20CV. Let's take a close look at this. I absolutely love that blade shape. That's the type of blade shape I use the most on my day-to-day task when I have to actually use the knife. You have this nice black wash finish on here. It really does a good job of accentuating the lines really well. And it's very smooth to the touch. During all the cutting that I did not notice any drag being caused by the coating any. And if you don't like coated blades like you saw just a while ago, you can get it in a non-coated as well. So up here in the front, on the top right here, you have a nice little thumb ramp that really allows you to lock into the blade. I noticed whenever I was doing this, I could get a lot of power behind the cuts, and I felt really controlled. You didn't need any jimping up there because of the nice flat spot to put your thumb. And if you wanted to get a little bit more detail oriented with the knife, or you want to control that tip a little better, you can choke up on this forward finger choil that is big enough to fit just about anybody's fingers, your large, extra large hands. You can either go into this hammer grip, which is very comfortable, or you can slide your thumb into this little divot right here that is extremely comfortable, and that was because of a crown spine you have up here that not only comfortable, but it looks really nice as well. One grip that I found that I would really enjoy with the knife is kind of a pinch grip and putting your finger right here. I did some detailed cutting. I drew a little picture and I cut it out. And I found that it was very easy to control that tip. I could get nice precise cuts, and I felt locked in. If you wanted to, you could choke up even further. If you wanted to, minimize how much of the tip went into something, you could come up close as you wanted to it to where you could use your fingers to stop. But that's what this knife, in my opinion, excels at. Controlling that tip, drawing it through, are very powerful cuts into the hammer grip right there. I just felt like I could put a lot of force behind my cutting. Like just cardboard alone, even though it's just cardboard, it was passing through nicely. And to know that this is not even as thin as the production final form will come is outstanding. I even threw in some food prep type stuff in there just because I get a lot of people asking me to cut up certain food, and I always get asked to cut up apples, but I didn't have any apples, but I did have I think it was a red pepper, and it did just fine with that. And then I went on to some cheese, and the cheese, it cut it just fine. you know, it may not be the best at some of these things, like cutting an apple. It may split, but does it really matter? I don't know. The last time my apple split, I didn't want to eat it, so I'm not sure. I mean, does it matter if it splits your apple? And even that said, I was shocked. You know, usually I go toward those 10,000s, 12,000s behind the edge. I still love those, and that's my preferred knife to use. But with this one being as thick as it is behind the edge, it performed outstanding. And like I said, to know that it's going to be even thinner in its final form is something to be excited about. The edge held up really nicely throughout all the cutting, and after all that cutting, it still has a little bit of bite to it. I would say it has more than a working edge to it. Let me grab a piece of paper so I can show y'all where that edge is at. All right, this is going to be the edge after all that cutting. I did not strop it or anything. Let's see what it's like. We'll do a fast cut first. So yeah, you still got a nice working edge on there. Let's check out the slow cut. That'll see if there's any kind of edge damage. Now right up in there in the tip, it's got some minor hang-ups. Let's go just to the tip. Yeah, right there it's got a little hang-up, and that's to be expected because I did a lot of those drag cuts. And that cutting board underneath me is bamboo, some hard stuff. And I'm good with that. I can guarantee you if I hit this up on a strop, it would be probably hair shaving sharp again. Let's see, I don't really have any hair much here. Let's see. It's still shaving some hair. So very, very nice. I don't see any edge damage. I didn't do any of the whacking against aluminum because it's not my knife and it's a prototype. So whenever I get in on the pre-order, I'll buy my own and then I'll do that kind of stuff. So let's close it up and get into this fantastic action. Watch this. Whoop! Oh yeah, you saw that right. Riding on ceramic bearings and a ceramic detent. This thing is ridiculously smooth. I know the blade's, kind of heavy, so it's going to fall good, but very, very nice. And there's no play. The knife is nice and tight. It is perfectly centered right now, and it has awesome opening and closing action. Very, very smooth. It is a thumb hole deployment knife. You can easily spidey flick it. That's probably my favorite method to open it. You can thumb flick it. You can roll it open, and you can spotty drop it, and then you can throw it over to your left hand, and you can spotty flick it. You can, I can't believe I can thumb flick it. I'm not good at thumb flicking left-handed, and you can slow roll it very easily, both left and right-handed. There's no that hole's accessible on both sides, very nicely done there. I like how they did that where it goes up in there because that's where my thumb grabs it perfectly. Now, Lefty did say that Jared talked about the hole being a little harder for him to get his thumb on to do the flick. But I think it just depends on the size of your hands, obviously. He said he can do it. It's just not as easy as, say, the spotty flick or maybe a slow roll or something like that. I can see that. I don't know how my thumbs are pretty small. I can get in there easily. And it really depends on where your hand's at on the blade to get to that hole. See, because I'm grabbing it right here at the top and flipping it out. Look, I made myself a liar there. But action, outstanding. And if you're one to want to change out bearings to, say, skiff bearings, there will be a size skiff bearings that will fit into the knife. I think that's pretty cool that he did that because I know Mr. Lefty loves his detents and he loves his skiff bearings. All right, let's close the knife up and take a look at the scale area. You have a decorative pivot with the Divo Knives logo on it. I think it's a nice little touch. And that's the only place on this knife that there's any markings. as of right now. There will be the blade steel marked somewhere, either under the scales or somewhere where you don't see it at all, which I think is great. It kind of gives it that custom feel, because most custom knives, they may have the blade steel on it, but they don't have a whole bunch of markings like some of the production knives. You have a titanium bolster lock here, black on the titanium as well, and the pivot. You have T8 hardware throughout, even your pocket clips T8. Very nice. Woohoo! You have black canvas micarta on this one. And your pocket clip is oriented for tip up, left or right hand carry, and it comes with the wire pocket clip. I'll show you that in the pocket now. If you're not a fan of the wire pocket clip, but you like the Lynch wire clip replacement, it will fit one of these also. I think that's another cool touch that he added to the knife. Let's look at the lockup. The lockup is sitting at around, I'd say 50%, and it is rock solid. When I say no movement, I can't muster any movement left or right, up or down whatsoever. And that's really nice, especially when you have an action like that. I mean, this thing is a fidgety knife. Fidget friendly as they come. And I could sit there and open and close all day long. And my wife just loves it. Not really. Let's take a close look at the lock area. The access to the lock bar it's okay. The lock bar is flush with the show side scale, but they put some little chamfers on the inside to get your finger in there. Now I can get my thumb in there. It's not bad. It's just not the easiest. I tend to use this portion of the fat of my thumb to push it over, and I've gotten used to doing that so much that that's what I usually do. That said, he's already taken that into consideration, and I'm pretty sure he said that they're going to bring the show side scale down a little bit, just to give you a little bit easier access to that lock bar, especially if you have like fat sausage fingers or something. That's also a nice touch. I'm glad that he's taking all the feedback and trying to implement everything that makes sense to the knife. One other change that he said that's going to be happening is on the lock bar cutout. The corner of the lock bar right here, it's a little sharp. I did not notice it in any of the grips. Anything I did, even the wood cutting, I did not feel that whatsoever. But it is nice to not have any sharp areas, and he said they're supposed to be putting a chamfer right there to knock that corner off. All right, let's get a weight, even though it's probably be a little bit lighter because they're thinning it out a little bit, the grind at least. First in grams, 110 grams, and 3.89 ounces. Perfect for me. I think that's excellent right there, especially for being a beefier knife. All right, let's get some quick size comparisons out of the way. First up, the Spyderco PM2 and the Para 3. It's right in the middle of both of these. You have the Demco 8020.5 and the QSP Penguin. It's much closer to the 20.5, almost identical in length. You have the Wee Knives Mini Busker and the Concept Model 6. Busker's a little bit longer and the Model 6 a little bit shorter. You have the Luft Concept Avant and the Kaiser Mini Critical. I would say the Avant is probably the closest in overall length, almost identical. When I first saw pictures of this knife, it reminded me of the Spyderco Techno 2, a longer version at least. All right, now to my nitpicks and complaints. First up, I love to see it ground thinner, but guess what? It is getting ground thinner, so that's not a problem. Of course, more lock bar access, that's also being addressed. The only thing that is not, and this is just my preference, I would have much rather see American micarta. This, like on the Kaiser, both of these are black micarta. And I don't know. The black doesn't look, it doesn't look that much different, but like, when you get into the colors, like the green stuff, I'd find they look a lot different. And of course, it would have been awesome to have completely contoured scales. However, that said, the flat scales are perfectly fine with me. They're nice and softened, and I had no issues whatsoever throughout all the cutting I did. Even when I got to the wood, it was nice and comfortable, and that's a lot. Most of the time when I get to the wood carving, I start getting, hot spots in certain areas, but you have a fairly neutral grip right here, besides this choil area right here. But all of them have nice spots to lock into, and I'm excited about it. Overall value, I know some probably think that the $260 or $270 price range is steep, but you got to look at it like this. It's a small batch. The first batch of stouts will be 400 knives. 400 knives. That's not a lot of knives, and the more you get, the less the price gets, and 400 is not going to bring it down that much. You also have 2 designers that have to get paid, and they got to pay the company. So, I did some research. I was trying to find other 20 CV or M390 knives with, the extra bolstered area and stuff like that. And I didn't find anything that was, considerably cheaper, especially for the quality that this one's at. But like I said, overall, I'm happy. I will be definitely trying to pick one of these up when the pre-orders go live. If there are any changes being made, you will want to keep an eye out on the Divo Knives Instagram page. Follow them. If they change something, I'm sure they will be making updates, or you can check the Divo Knives website. And I'll leave all the links down below for the pre-order and the Divo Knives website in general. It's awesome to see people in the community designing knives. It gives me hope that I can also design one of my designs here in the near future. And thank you, Kevin, for letting me check this out. And I hope everybody's having an absolute amazing day. I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.